Ah, I think that's pretty okay. All right. Hello and welcome to the Zooming Who's podcast, and I'm your host Dustin Husky.
I'm Credence Sourpuss.
And we got quite the busy episode here for today. Again, it's going to be more about conventions because guess what we did yesterday? We gone to another convention, anime convention this time. Anime Milwaukee, also known as AMKE, down in downtown Milwaukee at the Wisconsin Center, which is actually a pretty nice convention center.
It is nice size.
Let's what aspects of the weekend or at least the convention do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about the convention itself or start with the convention center itself or the convention itself? Because there's like two different.
Start with the convention center first.
All right, so your immediate thoughts about the convention center itself. Like
I like it. I like that there's 3 layers. There's 3 levels.
right, to like walk around and whatnot. There's not many places to walk around, like literally walking around the whole convention center. It's literally like a C shape. It's almost like a digital like C, like in the shape of segments. You can walk around from one end to the other, but not full do like a 360-degree rotation around. Why you keep touching? Stop! Oh, I was just gonna leave him there because you know how special he is when he looks. No, just do it. Just you know, cats and touching things.
I forgot phone.
So as I was saying, the convention center itself is actually quite fantastic. You've got an outside parking. Well, actually, no. Let's actually talk about the outside of that in another topic. But inside the convention center, you've got a lot of escalators, which is great for fursuiting.
Yeah.
You have 3 levels. You've
Although
got ground floor.
dirty.
Well,
They're super dirty.
Yeah, they're filthy, but that's another thing. There are 3 levels. There's a ground floor. There's I guess you would say second floor, and then a third floor. Both housing different larger ballrooms, convention panels, whatnot that can be compartmentalized.
Yep.
I think to what a lot of Madison furs believe that Milwaukee is about because they don't actually spend enough time in Milwaukee anyway, but what they believe is a good convention center, they are right. And we can somewhat understand why it's a good convention center. I think it's fantastic. The layout is perfect. There's a lot of escalators until they break down. That's the only thing is that you've got the possibility of an escalator going down, which means promptly, which is rare for a convention center to do.
But along with it, it's not just one escalator.
There's actually 4 sets.
Like 4 per floor. So
there's actually 4 sets going.
It's not like you're stranded up there or stranded.
And there's actually another one too. Yeah.
No.
It's just worst case scenario because there's no elevators anywhere.
Sure is.
There is actually one, but rarely anyone uses it.
Well,
very.
It's mainly for handicap.
Right, and to be honest, it's perfect for that. It's a good convention center connected to one hotel, and if First Squared were to move to it, it could comfortably do it. You've got one outdoor parking lot structure. Well, you've got outside parking, and then you got a parking structure, and then you got another one about a block away. However, that's a lot of walking.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing how furries are inefficient with driving to a convention and carpooling, because you and me, we've always carpooled to a convention, so we're used to it. Most furries I know, that's most of all of you, most furries that I know will go to a convention to them like by themselves in their own car. Unless they couldn't get someone to ride with them, frankly, it'd be easier just to drive with someone. Because sometimes it's nice to talk to someone when you're driving 5, 6, 8, 10 hours somewhere. But
keep you awake.
But to a lot of local furries going to the local convention will drive by themselves. So you're going to choke the amount of parking that's in downtown Milwaukee, which Madison furs have no idea what the problem is with Milwaukee because they've never been to it, or they don't travel in Milwaukee like I do because I drive the streets. Parking there is obtainable. But if you squander it to the degree that furries tend to a local con, they won't carpool. So more spots get taken by furries who've gone in just one car. Well, one furry per car. Unlike going across the country where you try to pick up someone else along the way, you use at least that parking spot efficiently. You traveling with more than one fur. If everyone, if you have 1,500 people going to a convention and 1,000 of them bring their own cars, there's not enough parking in that area of Milwaukee alone to fit all of them. No way. Absolutely no way.
And
Which is
then
why some of them do carpool.
compound the fact that sometimes there's more than one thing happening there. Wedding.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was going on while we were at the anime convention.
I'm going to say to the naysayers who believe that First Square belongs in a downtown Milwaukee convention center, I'm going to say shame on you, because Brookfield, ample parking. There's more parking than you ever need.
Yeah.
You don't pay for parking.
Yep.
You paid $30 Friday evening. I paid $10 for the parking garage, but you have to pay every day. On the outside parking, you can determine how long you want to be, but in the parking garage, you pay daily. Literally, you have to go back to the parking structure once a day to pay for your car. That's a lot of bullshit that a lot of Madison furs actually do not think about, because those parking structures, you don't pay for a full weekend. You don't. Oh, I'm gonna go out and ring it up at the paying station. No, it's per day. It is per day parking. So again, will First Square do good at this convention center? It'll fill it up, but parking is going to cripple it. And what else do we notice around that part of town that it's kind of lacking of?
Like
Restaurants.
food choices.
Yeah, you're very much limited to what's around there. There is not a lot to go around. If you're going to go for restaurant dining and such like that, like a lot of furs say that they normally do, you're walking a long distance. And this is February, which when we left 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was 16 degrees.
It was what?
It was 16 degrees.
Oh yeah.
When we got back to the car around 10 o'clock, 14. And it felt cold walking across the street back to the car. I don't think it's fun walking in freezing, in freezy, windy downtown Milwaukee to go get a bite and then freeze your ass all the way back. I just don't see it being that fun. Even Madison, of all places, bad parking. Yeah, there's a lot of choices for stuff, but again, same deal. If it's around this time of year, I don't think many people would rather want to do that. Even in First Square, Brookfield, many people order their food to the hotel. They get
Yeah.
it delivered. Do they normally go out and eat? No.
I mean, there is.
And the only time that they do is at the mall, which is literally the walk across. I think, frankly, where First Square is in a better location.
For now, until it grows too big.
Well, they just opened a new conference center in the same area.
They
Yes, it's bigger. I don't think
Okay.
First Square is going to change location. It's
in the
just
same hotel.
no, it's not connected. So now you have to walk. But there is a bigger convention conference center just behind the hotel now.
Oh really?
Yes. I don't think First Square is going to be changing locations anytime soon.
Oh
It's
my
just
God.
the only caveat is instead of a skywalk, you're walking outside. Or they'll use both convention centers in tandem. So, but for what AMKE is, it's using the convention center quite well. You get the Hilton across the street with the Sky Bridge, which frankly, I could see the Hilton being good for Square, being the one only hotel.
Sure.
I don't think we'll fill it out. I think it will just work just fine. But that parking issue is going to cripple First Squared if it were ever to move there.
Yeah.
There's not enough to do in downtown Milwaukee, even though it is downtown Milwaukee. That specific area of downtown Milwaukee, no, there's just not a whole lot much to do.
Hey, Alpha.
Hello, Alpha. And who skins sour cheese? Yes, the cat is eating the cheese, and he is very sour. He is shoving the cheese like you would a tape deck into a. Yes, that's actually how a tape deck works. You just feed it into the machine.
And then you never get the tape back.
Nope. So I really do believe the convention center, the Wisconsin Center, is a really good convention. There's lots of places to walk, but I don't think. I think it gets predictable. But then again, with any convention, it does.
Yeah.
I still think it's a much more fun layout.
I mean, the repetition creates humility.
Right. And I think more people tend to sit and stand in place at this con than they will move.
No.
Whereas for Squared and most fur cons I've been to, most people tend to be a bit more active, rolling around and whatnot. But who knows? Maybe this might change the atmosphere of a fur con. Instead of having everyone walk around, there's more places to sit.
Yeah.
So that might actually do something. Downtown Milwaukee is a really nice city. It's just that particular area, not much else to do besides going at the convention. You're better off ordering your food, having it delivered to you.
Yeah.
So really, that's about it. But now that we talked about the convention center, I think it's got a good layout. I think it's got. I do like it. I would not mind staying one night at an AMKE at some point just to do,
fully experience it.
let's say to do a Saturday into Sunday experience, because I think that's where you see most of everyone is Saturday into Sunday. I think that'd be fun at some point, not for the whole weekend, but at least just for Saturday night. Just enjoy yourself. AMKE. Let's talk about AMKE. This is my second time going to AMKE. This is the Sourpuss's first time, and the Sourpuss first time at an anime convention in a long time.
In a lot of time, yeah.
It's not your first, but it's your first in a long time.
First one was in Iowa.
Which you've gone last second, like legit. You hopped in your friend's car.
Like I didn't realize where I was even going.
Oh.
They were just like, we're going to Iowa to this thing. You want to come?
Sure, and all you probably heard was convention. You want to come without realizing.
They just kept calling it a con. I'm like, it's a con.
Oh.
Didn't even know what a con was. Had no idea what I was in for. All they kept telling me was, we're going to be the best looking people sausages there. So that's all you need to know.
Right.
I was like, just walk around like you own the place. I'm like, okay.
So, at least with Anime Milwaukee, I think it was really chill.
It was.
I think it was incredibly chill. You saw a little bit of everything. There are some furries there. We got to meet Minty Maw, Sparky. We got to meet. I'm gonna butcher her name, but I'm gonna go off her Twitter handle. Sunlit Linus. Kairi. I don't know. For some reason, it's just hard to pronounce. I don't want to butcher it. It sounds silly.
Carrie
or something. I got to meet her, even though it was incredibly short. Got to meet Jolt for the first time in so long because we gone to college together.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was actually quite a lot of fun, and met a few other furries that we did not know. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cool. It was very chill, and me wearing my Star Trek outfit, which was out of place. But then again, I don't care because it's the only time I can dress up.
I think I was more out of place than you were.
Just being fully in fursuit.
Yep.
So why don't we talk about your experiences and your experimentation at Anime Milwaukee? Because I give you credit for guts, as you experimented with a few things to test the waters.
No.
And how did each one go?
Well, fursuiting was fine. Originally, I wore my what shirt? My stabby cap.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I wore it long enough to get any reactions.
I mean, we literally kind of like decided to chow down quite early on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember getting any pictures taken of me in it. Maybe one.
I think I think it really depends on the convention mood and atmosphere with certain things.
Not just. It also depends on the goers, the con goers. The more people see you, the more courage they might build up to say hello to you.
And that too.
You know, because you're dealing with people that
are insecure.
Maybe they're not used to being social.
Not very social. Mm-hmm.
So it takes a few. I mean, I will say I'm just as guilty. I maybe saw the same Spidey 3 or 4 times before I finally got the courage up to say hello and say you look good.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, I walked up to somebody else and seemed okay at first, and then all of a sudden it was them in a circle and then me over here. And then I could hear them saying, "Well, let's go up to my room." And I wasn't expecting to be invited up. And they did, say, see you later, have a good con. But it just felt very all of a sudden not inclusive. All of a sudden I was on the outs again.
Yeah.
And it felt awkward. Like at that point, I should have already been gone. But, whatever. It's just part of learning how to be social around people because.
But also,
it's different for everyone.
You can experience that same effect at a fur con too.
Sure can.
Sometimes you might meet someone for the very first time. You just say, "Hey, we're going up to our room. Want to hang out? You want a drink?" I'm like, "Sure, yeah." You know what? I've been doing that a lot more lately at conventions. Yeah. I hang out with some people, get a good vibe, and just kind of like wander around with them. Mm-hmm. And they say, "Hey, we're planning a room party later on. You're more than welcome to show up if you like. We like you, so we can give you a sip drink if you want." Like, sure. So, did that a few times in the past. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I like that effect. And then I'm sure there's been some times where you hang out with someone, they got their own plans, and they just kind of like go without you, or you're not included. That happens. The idea is to not take it too personal, but sometimes it feels like, oh yeah, I realize I'm a bit on the out.
So my second day, which is what you were referring to as far as my experimenting, I did double layer up because I wanted different options for, I will say, cosplaying. Because now that I look back, I really don't consider, I guess, fursuiting as a type of cosplay. Just not
You're cosplaying yourself.
Cosplaying my persona.
Because people referred to as your OC.
Right. So, I'll say it's still cosplay. Just a different brand of it, a different type or genre. Underneath my fursuit, I wore my pet suit because I thought maybe halfway through the con I would half fursuit and half pet suit. And I wore my pup hood, which I'm not going to say I'm not surprised that there were no other pups. There may have been 1 or 2 other pups there.
I think they were very much
They may have come out. They may come out later at night, when it's like after hours. I don't know.
I don't think it's that kind of convention.
It may not be that kind of convention too. Anyway,
because you experimented with that for about like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Once you started getting your picture taken with
Jolt. Yeah.
And they weren't really asking me to be in the picture.
Right, because they figured that
I was sitting way like a good 3 or 4 feet away, and I wasn't actually interacting with people you were talking to. So they may have just assumed that I wasn't part of, you two. I don't know. Who knows? But the point is, I decided then and there, I probably just better get back into full suit because the pet suit is just not for that con.
It's much like going to a science fiction convention.
Yeah.
It's going to be lost in the older generation.
Oh, for sure.
They'll probably think of it as a kink, and they'll even look down on it.
Yeah.
An anime convention is a mixture of both the new and the old generation, because it's a good mixture of sci-fi, anime, and even furry.
Right.
And then furry is very well open in the way how things are being done and seen.
I mean, we have cosplayers at
Yeah.
cons, and
yeah, that's okay.
I don't think they're out of place at all.
That's why I'm wearing a Star Trek uniform and wearing a head.
Yeah.
At least there's two different things going on. But I think
you did get a couple people that liked it. They liked the combination of the two things. So,
certainly a bit different. Even someone made a mention, oh, that's a first, which probably is, but I think there's a lot of Pendez is a good example of a Trekkie.
Yeah.
He's more into the next generation, although I'm sure he probably likes all of them, because when you ask a Trekkie what's your favorite series, you don't really hate a series, but you have one that you prefer to watch instead. Mm-hmm. Me, I just like the TOS, next gen, Voyager, and then Deep Space Nine. Not to say that I don't like the others, but those tend to be more classic episodes that I grew up with or watched the reruns of. To me, it speaks more to me more than anything else. So the Star Trek uniform did work pretty good.
Yep.
I would not mind going to a sci-fi convention and doing it there instead, which is something to work up. Excuse me. Oh, I see. I see what you're doing. It looks like it's a red sausage. It's a red rocket. So, I had a lot of fun. It's really, really chill. I've never gotten that much attention. Like the last time I've been to an anime convention was 2016, or was it 2017 or 2016 at AMKE? And me again, partially in suit, except I wore a white drill tunic. And you know what? I had so much. I had so many pictures taken of me. And 2016, 2017 was a highly, highly, highly well-attended event. Compared to this past weekend or this ongoing weekend as it is going on now, AMKE back then, you had to go through a sea of people. You were constantly going through a wall of people everywhere you go. This year was a little bit subdued as far as attendance. I think just because pandemic has nothing to do with the event could be dying. No. I just think, like with everything else, the pandemic's stifled attendee numbers and growth, that things are just dropping a little bit because many people are staying at home, or people lack of job or not working. They're just not able to make the necessary means to say, hey, it's worth going, because they just don't have the money to go. I think a lot of people were more local for this year than anything else, although we met a few that are from Iowa or from Minnesota, really from the Midwest region. So but it was really fun. I've never had that much attention before. You got to meet cosplayers of Daft Punk.
Yep.
I got to meet a Prince cosplayer, which is pretty cool. And somewhere in my videos that I made during that night, there was apparently a guy dressed up as World War II Japanese Imperial Army. So there was one guy, probably a reenactor or probably a weeb. I mean, there's anime enthusiasts, and then there's someone who's going to portray a Japanese soldier, which, you know what? Sure, why not, I guess. But you have to really question why you're doing that. It's not Reenactor Fest where you can do that. This is not 10 years ago where you could dress up as a German at MFF, which you could have done years ago. Now you can't, because that's just taboo now. It's fully taboo.
Why is it taboo now?
Because it is taboo. You got the Furry Raiders, you've got Nazis and what? Yeah. There we go. It's just stuff that you just don't do anymore. You can dress up as a GI from World War II, and everyone's going to give you praise about it.
You don't have a fursuit made out of a rebel flag.
Yep. It's all becoming a bit taboo, which Yeah. But I saw that and it's like, okay, all right. So there's at least one reenactor that questionable intent of why you decided to wear a IJA, unless it is from, let's say, perhaps an anime about World War II, which is even still actually kind of taboo because you've got the rape of Nanking in 1937, which isn't really is not very easy to talk about. It's much like the Holocaust, but to the Chinese, that is an incredibly touchy subject, even to this day. But I digress. There's a lot that you can wear. And I think for the next time that I go to Anime Milwaukee, I'm going to do something entirely different. I'm going to go with the crowd. I want to set up a cosplay. I want to go to a sci-fi convention and dress up as someone from the original series. But I also want something set up for anime conventions. When I do go, I want to dress up as something. And my I don't watch anime very often, but there are some series that I do like a lot. So there's Initial D. There's Strike Witches. I really need to broaden my anime feelers a little bit. Tentacle Sun and Potato Sun. But there's one series that I like to watch over and over again because I think it's just really cool. It kind of piques my interest in certain ways. That's called the Valkyrie Chronicles, which is kind of like a combination of World War I and World War II, but in a fantasy land, of course, because it's anime. But now you've got witches, beast stars. I like that anime too. I guess it's one way to combine furry and anime together. Yeah. But oh my god, there is a lot of horniness involved with that show, and I think that'd be one way to get into a cosplay and a fursuit in the same time. But I'm sure a lot of people are probably going to feel you up. Honestly, a lot of people were very respectful.
Yeah, I mean, most very asked, "Can I touch you?"
Yes.
So they could like put their arm around you for a picture.
I have to say,
more so than furries. Furries are
very grabby.
Very grabby.
Very grabby. Whereas anime enthusiasts, attendees, and such are quite respectful.
They are.
And you know what? That's something furries could probably take a page from.
I made the mistake of that the day before. When I went by myself.
What'd you do?
I hugged somebody.
Wait. When was this?
The day before.
Oh.
When I went as Spidey.
Oh.
It wasn't a horrible experience. I mean, it was.
But they weren't expecting it.
They were. I mean, they were happy about it, but it was like, I could just tell they were like, wow, okay.
Oh, so they were indifferent about the hug. They were okay with the hug, but they just weren't expecting it.
Right, because as a congoer for furry conventions,
furries are very, very close. Like with strangers, you like to hug, squeeze a hug out and such like that. Yeah. We're very, very open about that.
And I wasn't like molesting him or anything. No. It wasn't a full. It was more of just a half, like one arm over.
Right.
Like this.
Even that seems to probably open some eyes.
Right.
It's much like what you were in your pup suit. Yeah. And I think a lot of people weren't just expecting that.
But that wasn't me in pup suit. That was me as Spidey.
Right, but I'm saying from yesterday, you wearing a pup suit. I'm sure a lot of people were like eyes open and thinking, "Oh, okay," because they weren't expecting that sort of. But we understand.
But I will bring up this point again because you keep passing it over. There were lots of other people that were in full body.
Right.
Full body Zentai and spandex suits.
Right. But those are characters that people do expect to do show up. Yeah. It's just
mine's no C.
It's just kinky husky that they're not sure where it's from and what to think about it.
It could have been what's his name from the anime?
Who's that? Oh, Beast Stars?
Yeah. They don't know.
Perhaps. It's just that particular kind of outfit they're just not expecting to see. They're expecting to see Spideys with big bulges and nice asses. They're expecting that.
Which we did get that.
I don't think they were expecting very sexy husky zooming for your pants.
Well, they got it anyway, whether they wanted it or not.
But it's actually cool that we figured that out.
Legoshi.
Oh.
Isn't it Legoshi?
Yeah, he is a wolf.
Legoshi.
Yes. But getting into cosplay, we both have different philosophies about how to make our own cosplay.
Not even philosophy, just a different approach. I mean, you talked about what you probably would like to do as far as the you just said it.
So I would not mind going as ordinary militia from the series The Valkyrie Chronicles.
Right.
I think the uniforms look pretty cool. I enjoy the series. Right. I can definitely get involved with that. And apparently, you can buy the cosplay online for $150. Although, while it looks good as it is, I feel like I can do one step better by just buying fabric material in the same colors and probably make a higher quality uniform, which the stuff that you can buy off the shelf now looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I kind of want to take a step further for the wow factor.
Yeah.
Cutting fabric, getting it all to work well. And of course, felt material is going to be a little bit warm, but you know what? Hey, it's well worth it. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into it, you may as well sweat into it anyway. And then make it better. Then there is the Sourpuss and his way on how to make a cosplay. What? How is your way of making cosplay? The first one, you were thinking about buying a fabric and some Sharpies.
Yeah, first I thought.
So then you're triangles, for the win! Yeah.
So you gotta say that. Because what was I gonna do?
So initially, you were going to make a cosplay with some fabric that was going to be white. You were going to do a white mage, a red mage,
white mage,
white mage, which they have these red markings,
triangles.
They're triangles. Then he would say, "Okay, I'll get a white material to make something. Then I'll do the markings for Sharpie."
I mean, there's not that much red on it.
No. And then I thought, well, what if you just spray paint the markings on?
I said no.
Because I think perhaps maybe the spray paint could be better. But you like Sharpie, though.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think we should experiment. You know, I'll start now, so that by the time the next convention comes around, I'm done experimenting.
Right.
The costume is pretty much finished.
Right.
I just need to put it on. And go,
right.
You know.
And then you thought, okay, so if you want to do something a little bit more detailed, you would buy all the different types of fabric you would need and then glue them together.
Yeah.
Which works because in drag show, you see all these drag queens. Some of them have sewing skills. Yes. Some of them. So they can actually pull off not something that they just made in just a cinch. They've actually made something that could probably be worn more than one time.
Right.
Then there's some drag queens that literally use a glue stick. Like some of them will use
hot glue stick. Not glue stick. It's hot glue.
Oh, it's hot glue? Hot glue. Okay. I wasn't sure what kind of glue you had mentioned because for some reason I thought
glue gun.
Oh, okay. For some reason my mind went straight to glue stick.
Will burn.
Like, yeah! Oh, my boob is showing.
No, literally like will burn your skin.
Yeah, that kind of glue stick.
But beauty is pain, all that other stuff. No, what the thing that you didn't consider that I'm talking about is it would be more of like a robe type thing,
right?
Where I would pull it over my head
and
it would hang open, so it's not like I'm sealed into it and I can never get out of it, and I would just live in it the whole weekend.
Please, you gotta help me. I accidentally glued myself in.
I glued myself in my costume. I don't want to be a white mage forever.
Someone please have scissors. I haven't taken.
So there is that.
I haven't gone to the bathroom.
Heck, I could literally just take my white sweatshirt that I just fixed, with my red triangles on it, and I've got a white mage cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
I could.
Or
I could buy a cheap white sweatshirt.
You
that I
probably
don't care
could
about.
get a cosplay online, like, which I was surprised when I looked online for the Valkyrie Chronicles uniforms. They exist. It's like, oh, I was not expecting it to exist. It's actually really cool that it does exist. You might be able to actually find a cosplay that's already made that you can buy online. But, there's something amazing about cosplayers that there's nothing wrong with cosplaying when you buy a costume, an outfit, what have you,
I mean, I met
regalia online.
I met a couple of people that had literally put together a costume from all things that were made by other people.
Right.
So, whatever.
There's nothing wrong with buying it online because sometimes you may not be that crafty. That's okay. You want to have some fun? That's an avenue. But for those that say, hey, I want to create something with my own hands and do a good job, there are some amazing, talented people that are very, very crafty that can make some really incredible stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go that far, but I definitely want to say, hey, you know what? I can totally buy this as a template, deconstruct it, see how it's put together. I could probably make a better quality version with my own hands and then have more fun wearing it and tell people, oh, I actually made this.
Yeah. Like I literally feel inspired to try and do this, even with just a cheap sweatshirt to start and to see how it goes. And then maybe from there, who knows, alter the sweatshirt so that it looks more. I mean, and with that in mind, I already have a zipper.
You could, yeah.
So I could use that sweatshirt as my template.
You could go to Goodwill, buy yourself a jacket, a shirt, what have you, and deconstruct it, and you can just use that as a template.
We might do that.
Yeah. For me,
looking for pieces to mess with.
I'm gonna spend the money to actually buy an exact copy of what I want to really base things off on, deconstruct it and make my own, and then just put it back together, but with better quality materials, something that actually, is quality to a good standpoint without going over the top.
Right.
Because I'm insane like that, but I can see myself doing that because I can be a crafty person when I get the time. When I have time to actually do certain stuff, then it's not so bad. Which actually, learning how to sew with a sewing machine would be useful for that. So if anything, I might, I might maybe just learn how to use a sewing machine on a lot of parts just to make a durable stitch. My hand stitching is legendary, but it might take more time to do that. Although I may have more control with it, it just means it's going to take a lot longer. Using a sewing machine could also help too. I think it'd be fun to go to an anime convention and cosplay with something that you enjoy.
Yep.
Watching a show and just walk around and just like be part of that show. Even being like me being a regular militia person, I'm not portraying any other character. I'm just a background character for some reason.
Right.
It'd be fun just to go out as that.
So for me, the other thing I was thinking about after a while, thinking back to other conventions and just online in general, there's a lot of white mages that I've seen wandering around. I didn't see any at this convention for some reason, but in the past, it's a lot of white mages, a lot. So I thought maybe I'll just try a red mage, which then we'll have to go to a thrift store to find a pimp hat.
Yeah, they have to find a pimp hat.
And then paint it red.
And then put a feather in the cap.
And put a feather in it. Like a pimp.
Like a pimp.
We have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to cut us off.
Sure thing. So, yeah, I think we talked about that quite a lot. And just one quick question from Alpha.
Yeah.
Question. In being at a furry or anime con, have either of you ever been in a really uncomfortable or awkward position or situation before? Before there. I would.
This con, one person.
Oh, yeah.
That was
I think it was more awkward than
And it
anything
wasn't
else.
uncomfortable. I mean, it was uncomfortable for me because of how free he was.
About how open and loud he is about what he does.
Not just, like, also, but he was drinking.
Oh, he was drinking booze straight out of a bottle, and he asked me if I wanted some. It's like
Like,
no.
right out in public. Like, you didn't
Well,
even
he was
put it,
hiding behind a table, but still, it's in public.
right. I mean, put it into a water bottle.
Technically, that's considered public drinking. There is a law against that
There
in
is.
Wisconsin. I think across the country, but that is
I don't
considered
know
a
how
law.
they handle it in anime conventions.
I don't think people get drunk. I don't think people get stoned, not to the degree that furries do. Furries get away with a lot of stuff, but
They
I
do.
think literally the anime the anime community is much more reserved and is probably more self-control than than other communities that I've witnessed.
Yeah.
It's the same with sci-fi. You don't see drunks rolling about. You have people of influence who have been in their community for 40, 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
They have, much like Uncle Kage, except less drunk, who's got a reputation to uphold. Uh, you have anime congoers that, uphold their own standards, or just because they don't want to drink, that's okay. Furries, we just throw everything at the wall, including dildos. And you know what? We are party animals. I understand that. But this one guy is a total party animal, except he's neither a furry nor, I think, really an anime person. I think he just really likes going to parties.
Yeah.
He likes to meld between the communities, which
I
is
found it interesting that he kept being so loud and saying, I don't consider myself a furry. But he knew everything.
about furry.
Yeah.
I think there comes a point where you don't say that you're really a furry, but you really associate with us quite often. That you're not a furry officially, but you're very furry adjacent at that point.
It's like
There's
the
no
first time
hiding
I
it.
went to MFF and met an artist, and he was drawing furry art for somebody. And I sat down next to him, just kind of observed for a bit and complimented on his art style. And he animately, it wasn't a one-time thing, it was over and over again. I'm not a furry. I'm not a furry.
Some people just don't like that image.
And I was like, okay, I get it. You're not a furry.
I will say this though.
But you are. We actually got into a playful argument. I was being playful, I thought. I kept saying, but you are drawing furry art
For money.
for money.
So they'll make that distinction. I will say this though. While furries tend to be party animals for the most part, and we're very open about it, and it's just generally accepted, there are stories from my friends who are seasoned, absolutely seasoned anime con goers. As seasoned and veteran as I am for fur cons, they're for anime. And they have stories to tell me of what we didn't see. Apparently, at a Kitsune Con many, 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 many years ago at the rave, apparently there was two people during the rave that liked each other so much that they decided to have sex on the dance floor, and everyone danced around them, not paying any attention.
Oh, wow. When was this?
They didn't say, they just said that this was a long time ago.
Oh, okay, long time.
But this was at Kitsune Con, and apparent because they were there because they saw it.
Wow.
They had danced around the whole section until they met this one open space, and they looked down and these two people macking it out. And they're like, oh, that's not right. And then they just kind of walked away. So even in anime conventions, you may get a little, saucy. It's the same with sci-fi conventions. You may have a Star Trek party that's just really about sex.
Yep.
You really want to feel what a Klingon feels like? Well, there we go.
You really want to see O'Hara and
Kirk getting it
Kirk
on?
getting it on?
Yeah.
You will.
So
probably in every other room too.
So you will find it. It's not common to find it, but it does exist. But
O'Haras and Kirks everywhere.
But there are examples out there where even at science convention or science fiction and anime conventions, you will get people that will do what furries will normally do, just very, very rarely and infrequently. But they say, yeah, that was kind of awkward because they had to like walk around the the steamy hot pile of sex that was going around at this dark, because it was so dark, only the flash of the lights ever knew
what was going on.
Right.
I almost wonder if they weren't blowing it a little out, just making out.
No,
I can't
apparently,
imagine that people actually like fucking.
No, they were humping. They say that the dude was on top of a girl and he was just plowing away. Yeah. I should talk to Katie sometime about that.
Yeah.
Awkwardness. People feeling me up without actually consenting to.
Your friend the ferret.
I mean, he's pretty harmless. There are other people out there that actually
harmless, but he is very feeling.
He is, but once you tell him stop, he'll stop.
You don't greet somebody like that.
No, but my point here is, Bit Ferret, I know. I'm talking about randos I don't know.
But I didn't. And he did the same thing.
Well, then that's your awkward moment.
That's my awkward moment.
It's the idea of being groped at for meats and such, and being told to stop it, and people kept doing it. Then to be punching me in the it's just not fun. Anyway, we got other topics to talk about.
We do.
Actually, we went on a good 45 minutes on that, so I think that's actually pretty solid for that kind of subject.
So, I guess in coordinates with Hans, Poppy first was another topic.
Oh yeah. So,
but I forget exactly what we were talking
about. I had bumped into a longtime friend from college.
Oh, that's right. One that didn't have time to talk.
Yes, and apparently there was someone from college that I vaguely remember, but probably do, is just like to see a face or I like to hear a voice, and it comes back to me. I'm just trying to figure out who they are, because apparently it's like, oh yeah, someone from Waukesha is here, and like, oh really? Oh cool. So I happen to have found them walking down the hall.
Pointed her out. You were talking.
Yeah, my friend, and says, "Oh hey, it's such and such." Like, "Oh yeah," and then suddenly they got a photo together with someone else, and this and that, and they were all kind of talking to each other.
We realized she had a posse.
Realized she had an entourage. So it's interesting to see that someone has some influence within a community. Which, you know what? We got popular furs, which is not a good term, but we got popular furries in the fandom.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see someone who I probably knew a long time ago, who's kind of actually got a following that they kind of feel like they I don't know, what would you say about that? Like, how would you describe that? Just almost too lofty.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, when you have that voice, you can use it for good, or you can use it for self promotion.
Yeah,
that's where we started going on about YouTubers that are popular, like Majira.
Are you putting yourself on a pedestal, or are your fans putting you on a pedestal?
Right.
Uncle Kage, for example, his fans, he don't have to do shit.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to because he's a better man. But his fans will put him on a pedestal because he's just that genuine.
Right. Like the girl that you saw, she literally just said, "Hi, Dustin.
It's nice.
It's nice to see you, but I have to go. I've got
and that was
something else." And that was it.
Yeah.
Because she was, when I watched that, I thought, oh, she's important. She has places to go. You couldn't spend like a minute just catching up and saying hi to somebody.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, you have Kage, who's been in this for what, 20, 30, 40 years?
Probably 35 years.
Who I literally interrupted in the middle of his meal at First Squared in my lab coat just to get a picture with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he
adored it.
Immediately, stopped the conversation he was having with the person he was sitting with, took, just a few seconds of his time to pose for a picture or two with me.
Yeah.
And thanked me, and then
went back to his own thing.
And I left him alone. Yeah. And but that's the difference. People think they're important when they're not, and the people that really do make more of a difference sometimes make more time for people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like a lot of it's self clout.
I think a lot of it's self-fabricated to make themselves feel higher up, which who knows? They must have done something within the anime community, locally or abroad, to deserve that. Okay, I understand that, but someone that you used to know and you treat them like the underlings,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just kind of hurts. Basically, judge a book by its cover.
More or less.
Yeah, and I was just more curious to know who she was. It's like I just needed a few words just to like, oh hey, yeah, if we had classes together or something like that, or you know stayed in the commons like we all did because we all hung out together. Um, it's been a long time since I've been to college. It's been almost 4 years at this point.
Yep.
So my mind gets a little fuzzy, as Hoosk's are, but even the mind gets fuzzy. And it would be nice just to catch back and say hello. It's like with my friend Alex. I haven't seen him in almost 6 years. Just because, life got busy and such, just things happen.
Yeah.
But it was good to actually see him. But now with this one other individual, apparently they were doing a panel rehearsal 3 hours before it was supposed to happen. So I don't know. It's like, if you have to rehearse, that means you've not done anything prior hand. If you're really good at doing something, you barely need rehearsal. You'll just do it anyway.
The other thing I noticed about her little entourage was she had somebody speaking.
Oh yeah,
That tall guy
was pretty much her voice.
He was like her manager,
her bodyguard or something like that.
I wouldn't say bodyguard.
Bouncer.
Not a bouncer. More like a manager. Like he's like saying she has this going on, that going on. Like literally was like
that's
almost
actually
like PR, like public relations manager.
I don't know of any furry who has that. Even Uncle Kage just speaks for himself.
Everybody's like, okay, well, Hoosk will be with you in a moment. He's busy right now. He has to swirl and loaf and
no. See, I've never seen that in the furry fandom.
Yeah,
ever. Even like Majira.
That to me felt a little. I was like really?
Disingenuous.
Almost like rolling my eyes at that. Like,
yeah, I sort of noticed it too. It's like, oh.
But I don't want to go on about that too long.
Right.
I have a lot more subjects to go through. Mm-hmm. It's almost been an hour. Really quickly, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I know it can take up a lot of our podcasts or shitcasts, as you will.
Oh,
shitcast. Is this a shitcast?
We're about to enter a subject.
If this isn't a shitcast, sorry, it kind of is now.
Oh, so
I was in the restroom thinking about thinking about cosplays, which is where I got the idea for my red mage cosplay instead of white mage, which I can't do triangles then if I'm doing red mage. Maybe I'll do both. I'll make a white mage and a red mage.
All this sitting on the throne.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the best place to think.
It is actually the best place to think.
It really is. You can really gather all your thoughts while you breathe in your own fumes. It's true.
Interesting.
So while I was sitting there,
basking at your own glory.
I mean, no. This is
from within the toilet bowl. Hello. Don't flush me. Okay.
So this is before things had happened. Before any deposits were made, I was thinking about the cosplays and everything. That's where I got my ideas. Afterwards is when I started really thinking about what was going on in this exact place.
Okay.
In the bowl area. I don't even know why I thought of this, but I did. This is an issue that came up, and I think we actually talked about this in a really, really early podcast, back when we were still filming in the other room and not in our studio.
Right. Which is actually quite a nice, better place to do this.
So, uh, not to rehash, but to kind of rehash, uh, we had an issue where flushable wipes not really an option anymore in your toilet
Here,
because yeah,
I mean that's old news, but
exactly. But I started rethinking it again because we went through the whole experiment of taking a glass,
so a glass of water, putting a wipe in, and just
yep,
see.
and watching how long it takes to evaporate. Not this glass of water. It's this one. No wipes have been in here.
We scared 2 people.
Sorry. You tuned into a shitcast, you get shit. So I was thinking about this again. What other things go through your drain pipe besides toilet paper
And shit.
and and water and piss? Shit
Well,
goes through your
liquids is liquids, but solids is what really can clog up your toilet or your
yes,
main sewer line. It's
yes.
normally solids, toilet paper.
This is my point, and I have this on here, literally in quotes. Does your poo evaporate?
I'm sure it becomes sediment.
What do you mean?
Oh, I'm sure it once your log becomes waterlogged. Eventually, it starts to deconstruct. I have no idea why I'm talking about this. Why am I talking about this?
You're in this.
Oh God.
Have you ever?
Oh no.
This doesn't even.
I hope we don't talk about this during First Squared. We're gonna see so many people walk out the door.
Oh God, they're starting. They just leave. Have you ever been in a swimming pool
Yes.
and somebody pooed in it, and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh God, it's floating towards people."
It's like a torpedo boat that's like, oh, I'm gonna ram this ship right here.
Does that evaporate? No, it holds its shape. It probably absorbs some moisture to really.
Eventually, it does. Like there's a reason why septic tanks in the country or in the suburbs that are not connected to a main sewer line, they have a septic tank. It's a holding tank that's unfortunately you have to dig through your ground, which at least it's dirt. You can still put grass seed on it.
Yeah.
But when the moment that does fill up, because it becomes sediment, because eventually
Explain sediment for those that don't understand.
it's just the crap just becomes sediment.
You keep saying sediment. What does it mean though? What is sediment?
It's just a word saying
it breaks down.
It breaks down. It breaks down, becomes a layer that just keeps going up.
So it doesn't become fluid again.
Not really, no.
Okay.
It becomes like mud.
Here's my point. At what point? How long does it have to be sitting in fluid before it gets to that point?
I have not studied a turd long enough to care.
Because your sewer line that leaves your house to go
that
join
goes
up
to
with
the city.
The city's
we actually have
line.
we have Milwaukee City line up here.
So at some point
which goes to a treatment center.
Right. Obviously, before it gets there, it probably
tumbles. It probably does somersaults in the drain. Actually, your shit becomes a Olympic world medalist by the time it gets to a treatment center. Oh my God, it's taking so. Oh, we gained another person. We're talking about this. Oh my God, Olympic shit fest.
But that's my point, really.
Every shit's an Olympian in China right now.
Every shit is an Olympian, and I just feel like a flushable wipe is going to compete. It's like in the Special Olympics.
Yeah. Yes, we were actually talking about flushable wipes right now, which apparently they do dematerialize. They actually become. Once was like a woven fabric, and then it just kind of like just it's Super Bowl toilet Sunday. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
actually, brought to you by the Super Bowl.
No,
The
no,
Cleveland
no.
Browns are not here.
We will get canceled.
Actually, we'll get more money.
Actually, the Cleveland Browns is in everyone's house and down everyone's sewage line.
Oh my God.
I had a case of the Cleveland Browns.
There's an entire football team up my ass. That is so wrong. But yeah, but still, flushable wipes, they do dissolve in water.
Yes.
I don't know how long it takes. It doesn't take that long. It dissolves. It's perfect. And some people worry that it doesn't clogs a drain and causes problems. I've seen you put a flushable wipe into a glass with water, put it in, and actually dissolve. I don't know for how long, dissolves to the point where it's just cloudy water that it's just all liquid. There's no solid.
So my point is, I still don't.
I mean, frankly, you could do what the hell you want.
I believe that my shit would clog a toilet more than flushable wipe. And you've seen some of my shits. They're monstrous. You have. Don't lie.
Oh my God. Yeah, because you always keep saying, hey, you got to come see this. I'm like, oh, do I have to? Like, yeah, like, oh, no.
It's a Randy Marsh moment for me almost every time.
Oh my God. Why?
Literally.
Why? No, okay.
It.
Oh. All right, we're going to change the subject because...
So that was all I wanted to go on about.
Oh my God. Why so much detail about shit?
Sorry. You tune into a shitcast, you get shit.
It became the shitcast because the amount of shit that's being talked about.
There's going to be more shit coming. I've got these notes, and I forget what this means now. Hopefully you do. Sasquatch Man?
Oh, yeah. So at Capricorn, there was a guy and a Sasquatch
Capricorn?
science fiction convention in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
In downtown Chicago, which apparently, from a lot of people, the location sucks, which I thought the location was okay, but I can understand because it's downtown Chicago. There's no parking. So you pretty much are phoning it in through different forms of public transportation, walking, taxi cab, or Uber. And actually, I thought the convention was okay, but I'm sure because it's a pandemic year, it's lackluster. In terms of foot traffic, there is none. It's much like with Anime Milwaukee. There isn't much. There was a lot of people.
Where was this held?
Where? I said in Chicago.
No, I know where in Chicago. What was the name of the convention center?
I do recall. It's something that I just only started attending, so you could probably find this up online. Just type up Capricorn 42, being the 42nd year in its running. Look up there. I have no clue. Okay. I only know the Stevenson's Convention Center for Rosemont, and the Sheraton Convention Center in Brookfield. I think the Aquatifer one's the Chula Vista. I think. I'm not sure. I haven't been to that one, so I can't tell you.
Okay.
So anyway, what was it talking about? I don't know.
Sasquatch Man.
So Sasquatch Man is wearing a fursuit Sasquatch, and he's not zippered in the whole time. So much so that even he's not even wearing any Under Armour to even hide his back. And apparently, I have never seen a skin tag that big and perky before.
Did you say perky?
Perky. Right in the unzippered area. There's a giant, like $50 sized skin tag.
Did you want to pull it?
No, I didn't want to touch it.
Or just kind of like play with it a little bit?
I'm sure it's sentient. But this guy, like any convention goer, they don't give a fuck. You're just going to keep doing what the hell you want to do anyway. So you know what? To that man, yes, you're doing your thing. You're having fun. That's okay. But seriously, though.
Yes, Sasquatch Man, yes. He was living his best life.
He was living his best life. But oh my God, every single time he walked by, I just looked at that skin tag. Like, I can't believe that thing is so big. I am so surprised he's not had that removed and we lost someone. So yeah, so at Capricorn, come see Sasquatch Man and his amazing skin tag. That's the largest thing I've ever seen. Largest thing I've ever seen.
I got this on here, but I don't know if we really want to talk about this because it's triggering for me.
And what was that?
Taxes and all the bullshit surrounding it.
Okay. So I'm just gonna do a short recap of things. So me and my dad would normally do my taxes together, and that's just somehow always worked. Then my dad did my taxes. Must have did something wrong for one of them. Came back, and you said, "Hey, you know what? Let's do this on TurboTax on online. For you, it's free. For some reason, I'm paying for it. But you know what? Hey, I could care less. It's still a lot of money coming back to me. Okay, fine. That's as long as it makes it easy and simple for me to fucking understand, because I fucking hate taxes.
Yep.
Like every other single person in this country, our tax system is fucked. I would rather have my taxes get out and never come back and never have to deal with this shit. But since like, oh, you might get money back. Well, why don't you tax me less then? Why don't you tax me less if it means I'm getting more money back? I don't get it. But you know what? I digress. So here I am doing TurboTax in 2021 last year. We were able to somewhat fix the problem, but that also triggered another problem by getting audited by the IRS, which I didn't care about so much, but luckily the solution was very easy. And this was at the very tail end of tax season. Like they sent it like late in May. And then they wanted me to fix it by the deadline, which was like a few days.
Yeah.
So it actually was pretty shitty that they decided to say, hey, your state went in, but your federal still fucked up. Oh, you got until 2 days before we start to really hound your ass about your taxes. It's like, why did you tell me this now? Why couldn't you tell me this at least a month before?
Right.
So we ended up getting it fixed. Everything was okay. Got my refunds and whatnot.
I was thinking about that too. I feel like they may have just caved and said, screw it, because it was due. And that's why we're now dealing with this bullshit now.
So let me just continue on shorthand the story. Which, does anyone even know what shorthand is?
Yep. Continue.
Okay. So we did all of 2021's taxes for this past year on a TurboTax entirely from start to finish. My dad's not even involved in it. You and I did it. It was quite easy. I enjoyed it for not knowing a single thing about taxes because I still think it's an alien language that I think should really be simplified anyway. And it immediately was rejected. So it's like, okay, what is the problem? So apparently the IRS is going on your AGI, your
adjusted gross income.
Your adjusted gross income, which I put in the wrong number. So then I looked at my AGI from my transcripts and then realized, oh, it is actually the wrong number. I have the right number right here. I'm going to add the 2020 AGI where it says put in your 2020 AGI. I put in my 2020 AGI and then felt good that, okay, all right, things are going to be okay. Nope, the next morning I get an email saying, oh, that's also been rejected. It's not the right number. It's like, how the hell? Because in 2020, I only worked one job. I thought, wait a minute, 2021, I worked 2 jobs. Do I combine them? No, that's not right because they're only asking for 2020. Yeah, 2020. I only worked one job in 2020. It's the last one. And now it's like, yeah, we're going to keep, sticking you with a rusty knife until we get what we want.
Even though
we gave them the right information.
And meanwhile, they're letting millionaires just.
Oh, and the thing that pisses me off, they have millionaires and billionaires that don't pay taxes and they get let off scot-free because their lawyers take care of them scot-free. Here, I'm only making, okay, I'm just going to say it out because, it's still pretty average, but it's not bad. It's still pretty average. I'm making about 35,000 a year. And you know what? The IRS wants to audit me, who makes peanuts next to a billionaire.
Yep.
The amount that a billionaire makes a year is what it's like what I make in 1 year is what they make in about 1 hour. Actually, no, probably what they make in about 10 minutes. Let's be honest. 10 minutes of their time without doing squat.
They could sneeze and they lose that money.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't matter to them.
Oh, yeah. They could fuck themselves with a fan blade and they'll just say, oh, I'm just going to get another one of those. Just call my plastic surgeon. $35,000 for a prosthetic working penis.
There's nothing.
There we go. But now the IRS is like saying, hey, you know that number that we said that was wrong the first time, and then you gave us what you thought was the right number?
Still wrong.
Well, we think that's wrong anyway, so we're going to have you actually come up with another number again. Okay, now I'm totally out of answers. I really don't know, because at this point, I just feel like adding the same number and just see what happens, because they're only asking for 2020, because it's that time, because they go every 2 years. It used to be, 2016, 2018, they just go off on that. And next year, it's going to be 2022's number for 2023 or something. I have no idea. For some reason, they like to stick to a number for a while, then hoping that you have your information on hand to then give yourself the information. It's pretty stupid.
Yep.
And I'm even more livid now that I give them the right number and they just like, oh, no, you don't get shit. We're going to keep auditing you until you give us the right answer, to which I don't even know what would be my proper AGI if I've already given it to them.
I'm going to have to look at that email again. Explain to them what you had to do to get a copy of your transcript, because I've got some notes here too.
I decided to make an account on the IRS website.
Didn't decide to. You had to.
Oh yeah, I was totally forced. I had no means about it. And
let's not go through every detail, but
it became 1984 George Orwell style, because not only did I have to go through so many loops, taking pictures of my driver's license, stuff like that. They had to scan my face through my laptop.
Your webcam.
Through my webcam. Talk about 1984. At that point, I was legitimately like, okay, no, this is not right.
Then you had to move in place, like perfectly in the center.
In the center. And then they do like this 1990s GIF animation of like, dancing pigeons shit. And they're like scanning my face, Star Trek style and such like that.
You know what it reminded me of? Aliens versus Predator, where you see a perspective
from the Predator.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like.
You just see like the body heat.
Yeah.
Like you just see the heat.
That's exactly
what it looked like.
Yeah, that's actually what it looked like. And it just pissed me off. It's like, okay, all right, okay.
The Predator was looking at.
Yeah. See, getting your transcript should not be that hard. And you know what? It had to take fingerprints from 21 appendages just to kind of like get online and my face. And then when I was able to get my transcripts, you know what I did?
You copied everything.
Saved everything. I saved every single document that they gave at my disposal, which I didn't have to pay for a single thing because I opted, instead of getting it mailed to me, I just ended up downloading each one. I saved every single document up until 2012, just in case. It's nice to have more records, but I decided to save every single one that I've ever filed, and I've been filing since 2009, but for some reason, 2009 to 2011 doesn't exist, but
they only go back as far as 10 years or 9 years.
Which, you know what? Sure, that's fine by me. I'll save as much as I can to not have to deal with it, because, oh my God, that's another username, another password, or 12 dick prints or something.
Password.
Oh, yeah.
And reset password request bullshit.
Yeah. There was so many hoops that had to be jumped through that was just kind of like, someone's doing this so that they can spite me. That's just kind of what it is.
That's something else too. There's none in my notes, but man, passwords. Passwords for
any website these days is pointless.
Every website you have ever had. I mean, I have a text. I have an embedded text where I keep all my usernames and passwords, and it's got to be like 10 pages long.
Yeah. I keep mine written on a piece of paper, not on my computer.
I used to. I have too many now, and even still, half the time I may not update something, and then I forget to, and then.
Or sometimes after 90 days, they want you to put in a new password, and they want you to keep the same one except add a letter.
Or
that's dumb.
If you use a password that you used maybe 2 times before, they say, "Oh, you've already used that password." That drives me nuts.
Technology is supposed to help us, but this is kind of getting dumb.
It's a pissing contest after a while.
Yeah, it's a zero-sum game where you're always gonna like get pissed off and fed up. Yeah. And not enough of I just want to get my tax transcripts. I am not asking to become president of the United States. I just want this to get fixed by getting the right information, which turned out to not be relevant because apparently that's wrong.
Can you imagine that being a presidential Hoosk?
There's so much things I would do.
President Crow.
The amount of things I would do to this country just makes so much sense. Just streamline it.
No more Windows updates.
No more Windows updates because you know what? No, we're not pulling that shit anymore. The last 25 years were okay so far, even though that there's some changes.
I mean, updates are fine, but don't change it.
Don't change the format of stuff. Because I want a man who was frozen in a block of ice in 1995 to be rethawed today and learn how to use a Microsoft Word document. I want that man to know what the hell he's doing, even if he's been in a block of ice for almost 27 years. If he's able to figure shit out, we're doing something good. If we have to like make Microsoft look like Mac iOS, because now all this shit's in the center like a fucking Mac. And what are you thinking, Microsoft? Like, oh, it's in the center. It kind of looks nice. I don't know. You're starting to look like you're trying to be something that you're not.
Maybe the two companies have joined. By the next operating system, it'll just be
one whole.
It'll be Microsoft OS.
One day it's going to come to that.
There's still other operating systems out there, or at least operating system front ends out there.
I know Linux,
Ubuntu
is a system that you can create yourself, but the moment you start fucking up with it, it just doesn't turn out well.
I messed with Linux for a little bit. I messed with Ubuntu. I had a dual boot on one of my computers, and it was interesting to see another operating system front end. I don't know.
Me, I just want practical. I just want functional. Sure, you want to make icons a little bit different? Okay, fine. But the moment you start fucking around with the format of things and start switching things around to make it look modern, we're hip, we're cool, we are in the minds of Generation Z that apparently needs to have different ways of doing shit. And I'm a millennial, and they cater us to they are catering to us too, but we don't care about all the small changes because we just want things to work.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I want to know if I can restart and shut down my computer without having to go through a different setup.
I'm going to look at this thing.
Yeah, please, because
there's got to be a way to revert the settings. It almost feels like it's a theme they've got running.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
It kind of angers me because it's like, oh, come on. And they're going to force updates on you. And I had updates turned off.
When did you update?
Oh, it did it without me knowing.
Mine hasn't. Mine doesn't look like that.
Because I turned off updates, and then somehow they were able to revert that. And I could not undo it. They were forcing me to take the update. So I kept prolonging the update change until I couldn't do it anymore. And at some point, it just did it for me. So Yeah, I'm not too fond of that type
I'm
of
gonna look at
technology.
that. So that actually triggers me as well.
Because apparently you can't keep your own operating system the way how you want it.
You know, I used to know a guy that he was a customer of mine when I was working at Blockbuster Video. He ran a front end that was text only. It
That's
was
interesting.
it was weird. He controlled everything with the arrow keys and the enter key. There was just a bunch of boxes that all connected to each other. You know, the main directories were over here, subdirectories, and then beyond there, just like as the screen went from left to right, um, was just the layout of the directories. He accessed everything by enter. It was weird, really interesting. What do you think? Should we?
Actually, I'm sure there's got to be something else we have on the notes.
Nope, we went through everything.
We went through everything. Let's see.
We don't have to keep going. I want to take a look. I want to take a look at your computer and see if I can figure this out.
What else do we want to talk about?
That's it. We literally covered everything.
I'm just going to mention this one recent thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go into too much detail because this is more drama sort of thing. But
drama.
So we all know about something recently in the furry fandom where certain organization getting into some shit. I've kind of told people I had a bad feeling about something like that. Now seeing it kind of unfold. Yeah. And back then people thought I was nuts. People are like, oh, you're not giving them a chance. Oh, you're just a stick in the mud. Oh,
do you not want to call it out by name?
No, well, I think at this point people probably do know what I'm talking about.
Refer to it as the for-profit organization.
Well, the only for-profit organization that runs events. And many years ago, I thought this would be probably a problem because with for-profit, you could have potential corruption, which we already see unfold. Oh, I'm picking the nose. Whereas a non-for-profit organization, it's quite hard to actually do that because the IRS and the government are looking at you like a hawk.
Especially you.
Oh my God, they're looking at me like under a microscope.
You're like public enemy number one to them.
Dude, yeah.
Watch this, Husky.
And this one individual has not paid taxes in a while, and yet now the IRS is up my ass for a number that I have and trying to give to them, and they're still up my ass. Again, that actually does piss me off quite a bit, actually.
A number that they gave to you.
Oh yeah, it's a number that they've computated through my company, that they've given to me, and that they've computated through their form, and that's wrong. And yet an individual that doesn't pay taxes for almost 2 or 3 years, not pays anyone, suddenly they get a hold of them after this long. Me, I'm being battered down my door for this information. And I pay my taxes every year. In fact, I don't pay taxes. They give taxes back to me because they take too much out of me anyway for me to even pay. They just pay me back. But people had once told me that I was that stick in the mud. And I just simply said, I just don't trust this type of form of how things are done. Change my mind in how it can be worked properly, and I will gladly say, hey, that actually works. You know what? Cool. All right, you've opened my mind. I can at least say, okay, I can accept it. Okay, cool. Oh God. I mean, it's kind of a mess. So much so that it's caused a huge stir on the social medias. It's a whole shit show. And you're not sure what the truth is. You know what? I totally agree. I'm trying to make sense of it all. And it's still a shit show. The moment where first time he got caught doing something, which is not the first time apparently I hear stories. I hear stories from a lot of people. I know a little bit more than people give me credit for, but I also don't know the whole story either. But the first time that he got caught with his pants down, then, transferring some form of control over to another person. But as they said, that he was actually in control all along. It's like, oh, no, wait a minute. That's not good at all. Now there's a new organization that claims that he's got no control over because legally ownership of stuff and money and such. But is this another one of those moments of, you said this before and we were going to trust you that it would work? Are we going to trust you again a second time? Which I think a lot of furries just don't give a fuck about for-profit organizations after this shit show, actual shit show. We are actually a shit show, but this is an actual genuine shit show that we're actually watching right now. Now I hear people saying both sides are guilty. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised at this point. I don't trust the organization as far as I can throw it.
I mean, honestly, it's like using him as the front man to take all the blame for it so the rest of them can continue on. See, it sounds like a good idea.
Right.
Because, it's like when I get letters in the mail for my mom and they put this fake name on there.
Yep.
Saying, signing this letter to her, and when you call the company, they say he doesn't exist. Why is he signing these letters for my mom then? Trying to take all of her money. It's that same premise, that same basic idea. Use him as the scapegoat so that they can continue on.
I can at least say this for a fact, because this did happen, and I'm kind of proud for doing it, because you know what? I actually have a spine. And I can actually put up with a lot of bullshit, especially now as a Milwaukee County city bus driver. I put up with more bullshit than I ever did, and you know what? I do pretty damn good. I had to once tell this individual who ran CE, because he wanted to go into the local Wisconsin community. He wanted to make money off of it. And I kind of had to tell him, how about you leave community events to me, and I'll let you run furry conventions that you know best, and let me handle the local community myself. And we left it at that, because he was wanting to make money off of local furries. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And knowing how, money problems.
It's like
I had to actually tell him, no. You know what? Most furries kind of know what you do anyway, and they don't trust you enough to even want you to do anything, period. I'm just going to be upfront with you, and I'm never really upfront with people because you know what? I can be kind of an ass. But this is the one time where I've kind of said, hey, you know what? If I don't make a stand here, he's just going to walk all over everyone in the state, to the point where not just furry conventions he runs, but also local state communities are totally at risk of becoming a business commodity. And I had to tell him, no, let me run my own community the way how I want to run it, by not making any money at all. Than to have you run a community into the ground because you want their money. And people don't trust community anything because all they would see is an event asking for their money. Or really, if you want to make a donation and make something happen, sure. But making money off of a community is just not the way that things should be done.
It's criminal.
Yeah. And I had to tell him that, like I had to tell him, you run your furry conventions, I'll run the furry community because I've been doing it for a long time. He don't know the local furry community as he thinks he does. He's just really an opportunist.
Sounds like a scam artist.
He is a scam artist. That's why he's being audited by the FBI and the IRS. So yeah, the whole furry world is like wondering, hey, we gave for profit a try. We're probably never going to give it another second chance again. And now with the new organization, AEIOU, I don't know if they're for profit. I think they're for profit right now because they legally have to use the guy, because he still owns all this as his own personal entity, as his assets, they have all contracts. They have to make sure the contracts uh, elapse so that purchasing could be made, and maybe AEIOU could just phase out of existence. Each convention could possibly be its own entity, its own non-for-profit organization. But there's no word if it's going to happen like that. They could still be a conglomerate, which, after seeing how things are done with just CE events, I don't know. As a reenactor, HRS is all full of corruption because I don't think it's a non-for-profit. It is a for-profit organization. There's a national treasury. Every single national treasurer for this organization has stole money in the past. We don't learn from it. So already knowing for-profit organizations for a small knit community, furry is not the place to have for-profit organizations, period. Because I already know from reenacting, and it's even smaller community than the furry community. It doesn't work, and we're somehow still stuck with it. With furry, we'd be better off without it. We'd be better off just, he got sued for embezzlement. Apparently, he may have stolen money from AMKE years ago. You know, their con staff had made that mention. But yeah, shit's hitting the fan. There's a lot of shit in my. We're talking about shit now. Let's talk about shit. There's shit on that fan. You know what? I'm hoping things will smoothen out. I'm hoping the current team does a better job because their furry butts are on the line. Any kind of screw up that they kind of make is damaging for themselves. I'm sure they understand that. But I'm sure a lot of people are probably wondering, hey, once those contracts elapse, will you be giving each individual convention its own entity? Because frankly, I'd rather see that. Each furry convention run by a local community, as it should be. I don't know. It's a total shit show. It's good to see some change. It's good to see how things are moving. But it's still awful. And there's no trust by the furry community at all. Some of these conventions may or may not make 3 years because the trust is broken. There's still going to be some who are going to go. I would not mind attending a Quadafur, just to attend because I've never gone. I would love to show my support to the new team, but it is very possible that damaged goods may not sell. It's like a car company. You make a terrible product, people will not buy, and the company falls because you can't get any business. Non-for-profit, they still want your money to run the convention, but they don't make any money off of it. They just need your money to help run the show so that they can keep doing it the next year. That's the whole reason for non-for-profit. They want your money in a different way. They're not being paid. They just want your money to guarantee for next year's show. For-profit, they want your money because they want your money. Yeah, there is a lot of trust lost. And hopefully things will get better. But it's going to take a while before people start to forgive. And furries are not very easy at forgiving, especially with, the sort of culture that we have in the fandom now, a lot different from 2 years ago. They've got a lot to show before they can get the trust of people. Especially when their refund email does not exist. People want to refund anyway, and they can't because the email just doesn't work. So I don't know. I'm hoping for better ideas. River West Food Pantry. Is that their charity?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
They are a nonprofit.
I mean, you can be for profit and have a charity.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's just I'm so glad that that AMKE is contributing something fantastic to a charity. That's amazing, and I'm quite glad for that. As it should be. I am not sure. I think that's They are a non-for-profit, so they're no longer.
No, River West Food Pantry is a Milwaukee.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
I don't know if AMKE is. Maybe Pavel knows.
Pavel? Well, anyway, that's just my piece. There's a lot of skepticism going on. No one's sure what's going on. All I'm saying is I kind of predicted this from the get-go that this is not going to be a very honest business practice. And lo and behold, I've been saying it for years, and people would just simply say, hey, you're a stick in the mud. Stop. Just spreading misinformation, even though that I've worked with a few other. Yeah, it is a lot of drama and BS. And it didn't have to be, given the circumstances and such. It could have been so much better if you have honest people doing the work of honest people. So, anyway, I think we've talked enough about that.
I think so.
It's not something I've wanted to talk about, but given things of what's happening in the fandom right now, people aren't happy. Some people want to see heads roll. I don't think it's worth saying you want to see heads roll, but I want to see appropriate action done.
Yeah.
I see appropriate action being done in terms of con staff of all these conventions. I hope they do good, but they're not given any more chances by the furry
My
fandom.
biggest issue I have within work and everything else, I will say this, and that applies in everything in life as well as this. I like seeing people held accountable for their actions.
Yes.
It's satisfying to know that
the right has been done.
Yes.
And you know what? There's no way that this individual will get away from any of this. He may even face jail time. I don't know about prison, like federal prison, but I think state.
Pound me in the ass.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be getting that, but I would not be surprised if he does some time in local county jail.
We just watched the movie.
Which actually may not even happen. He may just get community service, but he's going to be watched like a hawk. I think at that point, because he'd be found guilty just because it's not his first rodeo. And
speaking of jail time, we watched a movie recently where someone literally experienced soap dropping in prison experience.
I didn't drop the soap. I didn't need it anymore.
You remember what I'm talking about?
American
History X.
History X, which is a really good movie. It was actually a really fantastic movie. I think it needs to be seen more by a lot of people. Yeah. It could really, really solve a lot of the not the world problems. It could definitely solve a lot of societal issues in this country just by having that being watched in its entirety.
Still very.
Still relevant.
Still relevant.
Still very relevant. I agree, and I'm kind of glad to watch it. It's not a happy movie, but it's something that everyone needs to watch. There's a message in it. Is that hello, Lucario. Unfortunately, you've reached the tail end of the podcast because we're probably about to sign off at any moment.
But you can watch.
But you can rewatch it from the beginning once we're done. So we're just kind of slowly wrapping things up. It's kind of an interesting episode. I hope you enjoy it. Kind of an up and down all over the place. I'm just hoping that with things in the furry fandom that things would get better because we want to see this fandom grow as a whole. Drama can be bad, but because of drama, we can learn from it to do better. Yeah. So you do need to discuss a bit of it, only a cinch, to learn from it, to not make the same mistakes. Because we can't just, furry drama. We can't listen to that. Sweep it under the rug. And like, I don't know about that. I understand because I don't like furry drama either because I deal with a lot of it locally. However, It's like with history, you have to learn something from it so you don't make the same stupid mistake again. Because otherwise, we're going to keep seeing it. We're going to keep hearing it because no one learns, because no one wants to learn and no one wants to pay any attention to it. You do need to pay some attention to that kind of stuff if we want to get away from it. So, anyway, it's been 140 minutes. It has been an hour and 40 minutes.
Actually, it's over 60 plus 60.
Yeah, actually, this is a pretty good episode length. So, this has been another episode of the Zooming Hoosk podcast. And once again, I'm your host, Dustin Husky.
I'm Sourpuss.
And we'll catch you next time with more stuff to talk about. We don't know what it'll be, but you know what? It'll be fun anyway. I swear whenever drama happens in the fandom, it really changes my opinion of furries from a positive to a negative easily. You know what? Unfortunately, it can seem like that.
You can't let that form your opinion of no.
That too. Don't see.
Just because you see one thing happen does not represent the entire community of people.
Right.
Because we're all individuals.
And we're all human.
We're all just part of this community.
Right. We all make mistakes to some degree. The idea is that we learn from it, even individuals that made the mistake. If you can learn from it, become a better person, and rebuild, you know what? You can make the community a better place.
Right. Learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
I get it. Sometimes when there's drama that comes about, it's like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Why? But then again, we're like any community. We're like society. There's bad shit everywhere we see. The idea is to not let it ruin our fun that we do have and the appreciation of what we do have.
Right. And don't let it sour your opinion. Thing that you thoroughly enjoy.
Sometimes with the aftermath of what's going on regarding these conventions, for those conventions involved, you can only help to support them so that they can eventually transition to a better form than what it is now. Because frankly, the for-profit organization's a cancer. It needs to go to a non-for-profit. The only way you can make that happen in 3 years' time is to support these conventions so they can transition into what they can become a better event because of it. It's just shit hits the fan. Nothing looks pretty. But wipe away the shit and hopefully just try to make things better.
And don't worry about those flushable wipes.
And don't forget about those flushable wipes. They don't actually clog your toilet.
It's just your shit.
It's just apparently the giant logs that someone will create.
Probably your cat.
Probably a cat would probably clog a toilet.
Don't let me in your house and let me shit in your toilet.
You got to make sure you have a toilet that can flush 18 golf balls in one go. Anyway, again, this has been another episode of the Zooming Hoosk podcast. And again, once again, I'm Dustin Husky.
I'm Sourpuss.
And we'll catch you next time for more information about, I have no idea what, just fun stuff, random stuff, weird stuff. A show about nothing. That's all that we are. Never will be, but we're always talking about something. So anyway, you'll have a good Super Bowl Sunday. I have no idea who's going to win, but I may as well watch the game anyway, because you know what? Everybody on the bus is going to be talking about it. I want to make sure I know what the hell's going on. And butts. You're going to be looking at butts.
Yep.
So anyway, Alpha, Pavel, Lucario. It's actually good to have a lot of people talking on the chat. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope to see you more often. Happen to be local where I'm running the setup con. Come say hello. So anyway, have a good evening. Happy Super Bowl time. And we'll see you next time.